thank you very much for being with us today for our fifth and final International Industry Showcase, focusing today on the Luxembourg blockchain ecosystem. A little bit about our fantastic speaker's background. Laurent Marochini is the award-winning executive and head of innovation at Societe Generale in Luxembourg. He's also a blockchain leader for the group and is very active within the FinTech ecosystem in Luxembourg and abroad. He's co-chairman of the LHoFT working group blockchain and cryptocurrencies and a member of the FinTech and Digital Executive Committee. For those who don't know him, he's also a fantastic triathlete. Tom Kettels is the project lead of Infrachain. He's a member of the APSI policy group and a former member of the OECD blockchain expert policy advisory board. Tom has 20 years of experience within the ICT sector, working mainly on topics related to telecoms and data centers, and is a senior ICT advisor at Digital Luxembourg. Tobias Seidl is a FinTech and Investment structuring expert with more than 10 years of experience in the financial industry. As co-founder of Securities and of the blockchain-powered investment marketplace STOKR, he focuses on the challenges SMEs face when seeking funding in Europe and on the limited investment possibilities for retail investors. On the moderator side, we have Emily Allard, head of operations at the LHoFT. Emily uses her extensive experience in the banking and fund industry to tackle some of the industry challenges with specific projects and helps review the business model of the financial industry in Luxembourg by promoting innovation and innovative solutions. She's particularly active in the digital assets and blockchain area and is co-chairman of the LHoFT working group on blockchain and digital assets. Ladies and gentlemen, Emily, the screens are yours.
Hello, everybody. Well, quite happy to welcome you on this webinar and to present you the blockchain ecosystem. So, as you know, the LHoFT is a public-private partnership. We are here to help FinTech to enter the market and to help them grow within Luxembourg or entering the market via Luxembourg and grow into Europe. So we have a lot of partners, to name a few: BCE, Societe Generale, with Laurent, namely, State Street, Foyer, Clearstream, and some associate partners such as Allen & Overy, Shields & Shields, Clifford Chance, or Loyens. We are supported by Luxembourg, Let's Make It Happen, by the government of Luxembourg, by Luxembourg for Finance, who are helping us promoting FinTech around the world, and the Chamber of Commerce of Luxembourg. Well, we are also incubating some of the FinTech. We have some space, which is either closed offices or open offices. And what makes the LHoFT unique is the collaboration between all the FinTech and also some of the blockchain companies, because we are all about community and making the right contact with the right people. Let's go through the FinTech map. Luxembourg is quite active, either in payments, big data, insurtech, regtech, lending, but we are also building our way to blockchain. This is the latest map we did was in 2019. We're currently working on an update. You can see we're quite active on the various areas, such as financial inclusion, research, registry certification, payments, wallets, business services, infrastructure, tokenization. We have pretty much all of the blockchain industry represented here. To name a few, we currently have Stampify on board at the LHoFT. We have STOKR, we have Tokeny. I don't know if you've heard, but they are on the way to become the first Luxembourg unicorn, and we're quite happy to have them here. Bitflyer started at the LHoFT and is now as grown up as possible and is flying his own wings. We have also some older blockchain companies not dedicated to FinTech, such as Arteia, Iro, or Anyot Music. We also have a dedicated task force at the LHoFT, which is presided by Laurent, who has behind him a lot of members helping him in his mission. Maybe you can give a few words on this dedicated task force.
Yes, of course. So we built at the beginning of the year a task force dedicated to connect all the different actors in the blockchain industry to fix issues, tackle challenges, and foster the collaboration. So you just said before that you have the support of Luxembourg. Let's make it happen. So if you would like to make it happen, we need to push the industry and to be actor of the change. So we have a task force dedicated to the blockchain with seven members. And also one of the key challenges is also to issue recommendation to the board of the LHoFT. So you have seen the different member of the board, and one of the member of the board is the Ministry of Finance. So we issue interesting recommendation. The first one in terms of recommendation is the legal part, where we aim to issue guidelines. So we already have made a kind of a gap analysis in Europe about the different regulations. So you have seen in France, Germany, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland, they have issued regulation, attractive regulation, I would say. So we have made a gap analysis to see how we can better position Luxembourg in this field. The education also is very important, and we will discuss about the different recommendations with Tom just after in Infrachain, but we are working in training, in collaborative research, in also to bring a network for testing and work on talent acquisition, because we have no choice to have talent in the blockchain space. So we are working a lot about education and mentoring. The banking relationship, so I'm working for a bank, so I know exactly how it works. But when you are talking about crypto asset and blockchain, we need also to accompany the different startups. We know that it's not always easy to open an account with a bank, for example, and we work to find different recommendation and help the different startups to move in the ecosystem as a whole. And the last one is process and mentoring, and we are in the process of creating a kind of a group of not advisor, but to mentor different startups and to ensure that we have the best process to move forward in this space, especially with the regulator also. So we are working to have a kind of smooth process, and we are working to have a mentoring process. It's not a sandbox, but it's a kind of, it's a mentoring process, which could be similar than a sandbox sometimes. That's it for me.
Thanks, Laurent. If we go, why Luxembourg? Well, it's a leading financial center. I won't go through all the numbers, but you have to know that Luxembourg was the first European country with a licensed crypto exchange. And quite importantly, it's the second largest fund center in the world. So this is something that you have to put on the map and really consider when you want to do business in Luxembourg. Yeah, as I said, it's quite active in terms of blockchain as well, not only fintech. The financial regulator was one of the first to issue a statement in 2014. You can do a lot of your business in English, French, or German. We also have 2 crypto exchanges already licensed here in Luxembourg. I mentioned earlier on Bitflyer. We also have Bitstamp. There was a law on blockchain and circulation of tokens as dematerialized securities, which was done as a Valentine's gift by our finance minister last year. And we have a lot of partnerships with key fintech hubs around the world. You can see on the right that there are quite big names in terms of blockchain here. Sorry, Rakuten, I don't know why I missed it, this one. But a lot of company, and it's growing every day. We have here the fintech ecosystem value chain. We have support, as I said, of public initiatives, private incubators and accelerators. We also have initiatives at the industry level, such as Alfie with the digital and blockchain group. We have financing via the public and private sector. So you can find some specific scheme to develop your companies and your projects. So don't hesitate to have a look or ask for questions. And we also are quite active in R&D. We are also, thanks to Alex and the team at the LHoFT, we are developing a lot of international partnerships worldwide, so you can benefit from it wherever you want and wherever your business might bring you. So as you can see, and as I said, the LHoFT is all about community and initiatives and projects. We are a bubbly community, having ideas like 100 per day. So don't hesitate to come with even more ideas, and you can ask for help and we will make it happen. Thank you. So that's it on my side, and I leave the mic to our next speaker, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having me today in the webinar. So I'm going to briefly present what Infrachain is. So Infrachain, we are a non-profit blockchain organization driven by the private sector, but with a strong public support. Actually, we have been created 3 years ago under the initiative of Digital Luxembourg. Digital Luxembourg being the government's initiative to digitalize the Luxembourg economy and the Luxembourg society. Our members, they come from various backgrounds, from various horizons, so it's a very mixed community. We have blockchain startups, we have IT solution and system providers, we have telcos, law firms, consultants, research institutions, and so on. So it's really a wide representation of the blockchain ecosystem in general. We're not limited to Luxembourg, although we are based in Luxembourg, so we have private membership, for instance, some countries in Italy, Slovenia, to name just a few, the latest one being from Sweden. So we are basically open to companies from all over the place. Now, the main aim at the beginning of Infrachain, why was Infrachain created, was really to provide an environment for enterprise blockchain applications to develop. And here I come to the point that you see this community-driven governance. So at the beginning, there was strong request actually from companies wanting to have a private blockchain. But with some of the benefits of a public blockchain. Now, how do you do that? So basically, how do you do that bridge between a strong centralization, which is the case in private blockchains, to decentralization in public blockchain? That's where Infrachain comes in. So we provide community-driven governance, meaning that we provide governance for private blockchain through the Infrachain community, so which brings then this decentralized element to the governance. For instance, we defined last year for the Ministry for Digitalization here in Luxembourg governance for its public sector blockchain, and we are also very active in a European project which is called Token, and which I will also explain a bit more later. And part of this process, we are currently developing a quality label for node operators. And last but not least, also our actions, of course, were community. So we have a strong focus also on awareness and dissemination of information of blockchain, and specifically on operational blockchain use cases. Now, Infrachain, we are also active on operational level at EU level. So we have strong support of the EU blockchain initiatives, and I picked out two here. The one is the EBSI, the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, as Anthony in his fantastic introduction already mentioned. So I myself, a member of the EBSI Policy Advisory Group, and our technical lead, Thierry Grandjean, is in the technical advisory group. And actually, Infrachain will later this month also put in operation the first EBSI node for Luxembourg. So the first EBSI node for Luxembourg will be managed by Infrachain, and this on behalf of the Ministry for Digitalization. The other project I had already briefly mentioned, that is the Token project. So a token that stands for Transforming Public Services with DLT. So this is a project which is funded by Horizon 2020, where a consortium of 11 institutions, companies, or associations like ourselves. And the goal of Token is actually to develop an experimental ecosystem to enable the adoption of DLTs, and also to prove actually the value of DLTs in the public sector. And we do this through use cases, through replicable use cases. So we want these use cases not only to exist within the Token project, but also later to be applied by other entities. If you're interested in that, so I put the URL in the slide. So it's not only for people involved in the public service, but it's also to any entity that is involved with public service. So be it as a provider, also just somebody who has relations with public administrations. Infrachain is also active on a more international level, so not only at EU, for instance, we're a member of INATRA, also a very active one. We are represented in the different working groups, and we also, through our member PwC and Thomas Campioni, we actually have the co-chair of the finance, of one of the finance subgroups in INATRA. Very supportive of that organization, and also very active on the OECD level, being implicated in the digital process, or as again Anthony already mentioned, I was myself a member of the Blockchain Expert Policy Advisory Board that finished its work earlier in March, April. Actually, the objective of that board was to formulate policy guidelines for decision makers, and these policy guidelines are currently being discussed by the OECD member states. Now, this is what we currently do. Now, a brief look also on projects that we've started now, looking a bit into the future. So actually into the future, it's the way to become really a blockchain hub of excellence. And this is a way that we do not go alone. You see here that we are implicated in the project with different partners. So one of the partners and a very close partner being the LHoFT itself. And then we have also two research institutions, one being the LIST, the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology, which is an RTO, a research and technology organization, and also the Interdisciplinary Center for Security, Reliability and Trust, the SNT, which is a center of the University of Luxembourg. And last but not least, also in this project, there is another blockchain association of Luxembourg called Let's Block. So the 5 partners, we want to actually follow up on a call that has been included in the Luxembourg government's coalition agreement, which actually intends to develop more public-private initiatives. So they specifically mentioned also Infrachain as an example in the financial industry, but not only. So we want really to push blockchain further, basically take it further than what Infrachain does today. So we have developed together 4 core objectives. It's the education and skills enhancement, so which is a very important pillar and which goes beyond simply technical skills, but it's also managerial skills. So really understand really what the full potential, the disruptive potential of blockchain is, specifically the disruptive potential for specific ecosystems. So I think the finance sector has already understood that very well, but we see that in a lot of other parts of the economy that is not necessarily the case. The collaborative R&D part, so we do that together with our 2 partners from research, so LIST and SNT. That is definitely to cover different aspects in blockchain, which we do not have solutions today. So it's, although blockchain, of course, has already more than 10 years, so there's still a lot of topics that need closer attention, more research. So that's what we do with our research partners. Also assisting companies and ecosystem to develop POCs, MVPs. So really that they can get immediate access to a whole ecosystem, and also, yes, get access to the resources that they might not get otherwise. And I say access to the ecosystem, that is really an important part of our initiative. It's really the collaboration, the spirit of working together, which is at the core, and which, yeah, should also, through our action, we should attract the talent. So just speaking a bit more on this aspect of collaboration. So this is really what we want to bring to the different entities that we want to work with and really target ecosystems then rather than individual companies. So we expect a lot of benefits for the different partners that we are working with, and as I said, it's something that we are launching right now, so it's still a bit work in construction. So this is only a peek or a sneak peek at what will come up, but you can already watch out for more information on that, because I'm sure that those LHoFT and Infrachain and all the other partners, you will hear a lot from that. Before I close, I mentioned in the beginning that one of our actions is dissemination and information awareness. So I just want to briefly also draw your attention to two events. And one is the Infrachain Challenge. It's a blockchain hackathon. We're doing this together this year with the Ministry for Digitalization. It's focused on public sector blockchain. There are still few places left for teams. So if you are interested to register, there are total awards of more than 10,000 euros to win. So I think that's quite an incentive. And then we have the Infrachain Summit on the 10th of November, where we basically showcase operational use cases and also discuss governance. So the idea here is, again, experience sharing, see what worked, what did not work in different cases, and how blockchain can be best applied. And with this, for now, I say thank you and look forward to your questions later. And I think it's now Tobias who will speak for.
So I'm Tobias. Hi everybody. I'm co-founder of STOKR, and I'm in charge of our beautiful investment platform, where we enable innovative companies, other issuers as investment funds, or just startups to issue securities. And we use two blockchain technologies right now. We use Ethereum, and we are very proud to also have integrated the Liquid blockchain, which is a sidechain of Bitcoin. And and we do all this actually to enable retail investors to be able to invest into startups and in alternative investments. When I started like this project with my co-founder, we have met actually in Munich at a blockchain conference, more precisely actually in a beer brewery. Late at night we were discussing about ICOs and tokens, and it was like in the beginning of like this craziness of ICOs and pre-utility token issuance, and we said, hey, that's actually a great way of financing companies, but something is missing. It's a financial component which is missing, and the trustworthiness. So we said, okay, let's use actually this relationship, which is great, you can create between the investor and the venture, but give it a financial component, and that's why we decided, okay, let's create security tokens, and we started this project in 2017. And working hard since then to make it from a regulatory, but also from a technology perspective happen. We have launched like the first projects beginning of this year, which you can find on our website, STOKR.io. We have currently an offering ongoing, which is called RTD, so check it out. But like to really see what we are doing, I give you like a nice peek into our technology today, where this relationship actually between the investor and the venture will be explained. So basically, in the next few minutes, you will see how on our platform you can create an account, how to do KYC, AML checks, and how this all is then connected to blockchain in order for any investor to create a compliant securities account without actually the need of a bank or any intermediary. We really love the disintermediation concept and the trustless system of blockchain architecture, and want to enable everybody to hold his own securities account and also to manage it. On the other side, we also want to enable every issuer to create its own securities without actually the need of many intermediaries. So I will dive into this. You can see like the first is like the investor's journey, where you create your own securities account on STOKR. You just like put like the password, and then you have created an account as you do on any platform which is existing out there. And there you see like the next step will be then we have integrated a state-of-art digital KYC onboarding process, which is crucial for issuing securities and tokens, not only for being able to be sure that the people have a clean background in terms of AML and KYC, but also like for the issuers to know at what time and who is actually holding their own securities, to be able to manage the securities 24 hours, 7 days a week. So here you see basically like the KYC process. So you get like your ID cards, you scan it, then there will be a face verification, which is comparing like the pictures in the background, the part of like the information is read out of the passport, and then in the background everything is checked against like PEP and sanctions lists and other verifications. The cool thing also, we have integrated a verification on the mobile phone number. So basically the address the person is putting in is compared with the address they have provided to the telephone company. So it's full automatized onboarding, very, very quick. And that's it. And then the next step is simply like to connect your own blockchain address. Here in this example, we have like the register Ethereum button where you can connect with MetaMask at the moment or Ledger. You simply connect your Ethereum address there. You can name it, and that's it. And what happens then is actually that this Ethereum address is connected with the data, which is securely saved on a server in Luxembourg, managed by Digital KYC, which is a telephone provider, and it's also like regulated by the CSSF. And here you see like you can have like a sneak peek in the backend after like you have created like this account. So this is now done, and you will see how everything comes together in a few seconds. But before we go into this, you will have like just like a few on the KYC in the backend, right? So the compliance officer sees all this. They like a risk matrix. They can verify all the documentation, and they can still also like manually reject and approve like the person who is onboarded on STOKR. So this is like the compliance officer, if you like. And now we get into like the connection between this data, which is verified, KYC verified, and the blockchain address. And this is like the main connector actually, which makes security tokens issuable and manageable. So we have like two parameters here. One is like the KYC document status approved. And below you see like the Ethereum address here, like the blockchain address, where you receive finally like your securities, which are issued by the issuers, by the ventures and the like. And the last thing is here, the issuer will then be able to manage the securities in a very attractive way. They can see how many tokens are issued, where like the investors come from, and they receive all the data if they the need of the investors. And this is like a register equity to Luxembourg. Is why we also in Luxembourg is actually because of the flexible companies law, and we really believe in that. And in Luxembourg, as an issuer, you are able to manage your own securities register, and that's actually what we are doing with the tokenization and the blockchain. So basically, here you can see like all the investors, the token holders. You can derive all the information out of this, and when some of these investors transfers to another registered investors who has done like an AML KYC process, they see like the register will be automatically updated, which is very convenient and nice. And when all of this comes together, this is actually what it means as securities tokens issuance process. And I think that might be very interesting for you to see. Here you see like in the last slide, we also cooperate with Kettels, who is providing us with the KYC solution for our projects. So that's basically like an insight in what we are doing. And as we are in Luxembourg, we really appreciate actually the access to the regulator, which is also given by the LHoFT. And we appreciate like the corporate and flexible corporate environment. So basically, like the corporate law is really allowing this direct connection between the issuer and the investor. Yeah, and finally, it's like a cool community. As you may listen also from other countries. I just want to tell you, when you set up like something in Luxembourg and you come to the LHoFT, we definitely give you a favorable pricing to issue your own securities on STOKR. So don't hesitate to contact me under Tobias at STOKR.io or any other of our founders or employees, and then raise your funding via STOKR and issue like your security tokens there. So that's basically it from my side, and I'm really looking forward also like to any questions you may have.
Thanks, Tobias. I think we will leave now the floor to the questions. I've read some questions on the chat, so there's two people to ask that question, and then I have a final question for you all to answer. And if you're in the meantime, other people have questions, just don't hesitate and put it on the chat or just send it. Thanks.
Emily, if you don't mind reading Alex's question, please.
Yes, sure. So Alex has a question for you, Tobias. Why did you decide to launch your fintech in Luxembourg and not in Germany?
The answer is quite simple. It's really because of the ease of doing business in Luxembourg, which where you can talk directly to a regulator. You don't have like this formalistic processes when you go to other countries, especially also like Germany, as you mentioned. It's a little bit more formalistic. There are so many different lobby groups involved, so it's not that easy to establish your business as it is in Luxembourg. And the other thing I think is like the flexible corporate law. Laurent mentioned in the beginning that there are efforts like to even further modernize like the law in Luxembourg, but we think already with the current corporate law structures, you can do a lot of stuff which is not possible in other countries.
Thank you. And I think there are more questions for you, Tobias. I'll summarize them. Against which sanction list do you screen at the account opening? And do you use an external providers? Would you or could you share the client's data with other blockchain?
So basically, to answer like the last one first, so the data is of the investors is not stored on a blockchain at all. So it's just connected actually with the data securely saved on a secure server. The data of the investors is screened against like Basel criteria. We have implemented standard checks, so it's PEP and sanctions lists. And so forth. So additionally, there's also like an internet screening process. So this is all done like that. So basically, no storage of an investor data on the blockchain. It's just like the connection, which enables like to see like the transactions of the different investors for the issuer. The type of the transaction, the amount the people hold of your securities, and the date, the timestamp.
Okay, and still on for you, Tobias, did you present your solution to the CSSF, and if so, what was their reaction?
They loved it. We have done it, and they really liked it because they really like this transparency component. obviously, regulators are there to regulate and also there to ask critical questions. And we are in constant contact with the CSSF, and obviously it's a challenge for every regulator, I think, to see kind of security token offerings coming, especially when you disintermediate so many players in the process in between, which are regulated by regulators and who are, it's not a secret, who are all paying customers also of the regulators, right?
Okay, one more question for Laurent. What does it take for a blockchain startup to work with Societe Generale? And what are the main conditions, and is it actually possible?
Yes, of course, it's possible. Indeed, it's possible. I would say just one condition, and the basic one, you need to have a unique selling proposition that match with a challenge of the bank or future business model. And it could be the first condition, and after, let's see, make it happen. But of course.
And Wim, you have a question as well?
Yes, Tobias, that's a question for you. So the keys, who is holding the keys? How does the custody process for the keys work at STOKR?
So basically, the keys are held by the investors themselves. So we don't provide any custody solution for the investors. So basically, what we are only providing is like the connection between the investor and the issuer. What we have implemented, however, is like a recovery process for the securities in case you as an investor, you lose your private key, because in the end, the issuer knows at all times who is holding their token. So the recovery process is quite simple to implement. Yeah, I think that hopefully answers your question.
Okay, thanks.
Arnaud, do you have a question as well?
Actually, I asked a question like, what is the plan for Luxembourg's involvement in central bank digital currency, CBDC, regarding discussion? Do you see any developments from Luxembourg on that point? It's both for Emily and Laurent.
I can take it, Emily. So I'm not aware of any topics except that Banque Centrale have done something with a French startup, STOKR. So they're Luxembourgish and French, but it has been done during a French hackathon. So I know that they are looking in this topic. But yes, definitely, this is something that we need to look in the future, because we have seen a lot of central bank digital currency projects around the world, and we know that 80% of the central bank have started projects. So yeah, we need to look in this project. That's it for me.
Does it answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. Bianca, I think you have a question as well.
Bianca, please go ahead.
Bianca? Okay, well, she's asking about the right talent and how is it easy or not to find these talents in Luxembourg? So any of you having, maybe Tom, you are directly looking or you are directly in touch with for this?
Yes, I can try to give an answer. I think, though, it's a very general answer, because I think this difficulty for finding blockchain experts is the same difficulty as finding IT specialists in general. There is a shortage. It's a shortage in Luxembourg, it's a shortage in Europe, it's a shortage actually also if you go to Silicon Valley, they will tell you the same thing. What we see is that on enterprise level, blockchain is still an emerging topic. So we see there is an increasing supply of specialists, but generally it's of course difficult to get one. Now the positive thing is of course that we have here a very good ecosystem, and mostly the LHoFT, which has some very interesting projects. We have this project that I mentioned before that we have together also. So I think it's very interesting ground to do projects.
Yeah, and I think the blockchain lab is also designed for that, is to help some professionals to gain some knowledge in the blockchain area. So that would potentially develop an interest and some new careers for people. We have another question for you, Tom. Does your platform support tokenization of physical assets like artwork, luxury goods, and or are there any different type of physical assets?
Yeah. Actually, this is a question which is a layer above what we do. So we are only active on the infrastructure layer. So we do not touch what is happening actually at the blockchain layer. We are not at all involved in what is being done there. So it's really about the infrastructure.
But we have already tokenized some real estate in Luxembourg, so I would say yes.
Yes, but not the infrachain platform.
But not infrachain, yeah.
Yeah, there are other actors doing the tokenization.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe Dennis, you want to ask your question directly?
Yeah, sure. Just a simple question, really. Just understanding that you don't, you're not putting the investor information into the blockchain. I was just curious to know if you had considered that from the AML KYC process to streamline that.
Actually, we don't see a real benefit to put it like data directly into the blockchain. And I think when we have like a KYC whitelisting solution as STOKR provides, where you connect these data which are securely saved and also modular, right? Then you have all the benefits actually on this. Of course, this creates like an ID, if you like, so which is then also shareable with other exchanges and other providers in this space. But as such, like putting data directly on the blockchain, which is immutable, we don't see like a direct benefit in the moment.
Okay, well then we will close the questions. I will just ask one final one to any three of you. So feel free to all answer these questions. Do you believe Luxembourg is a good place to do the blockchain? If so, why? And just give one recommendation to those having, I don't know, an interest in blockchain or want to create a blockchain project. Enjoy.
I can start if you like. Of course, it's a rhetoric question. Of course, the answer is yes. And the reason why is that I mentioned the ecosystem, I mentioned about collaboration. In Luxembourg, it's very easy to get people together, to get different people from different sectors also working together. We do it on a regular basis. We have also two different platforms to do that. LHoFT is a platform with Infrachain. We have a platform to doing that. So that I see definitely as one advantage for us to doing it. Besides having a government which is open to innovation, you mentioned the blockchain law introduced in finance last year. And also, I think Luxembourg in general is often seen as a test bed because it's a very international country, a very open country. So I think this I would all see as arguments for Luxembourg.
Thanks, Tom. Laurent?
I would say yes, of course. But anyway, we should move forward because the yes of today will not be the yes of tomorrow. And we see that a lot of countries are moving forward, like Switzerland, Germany, Liechtenstein, and France. This is why we did our gap analysis. So I would say yes, connectivity. It's quite easy to open the door in Luxembourg to move forward, connection, but you need to think big in Luxembourg because it's a small country in terms of size, and definitely in terms of unique selling proposition, you need to think Europe and world, but not Luxembourg as a country. So yes.
Thanks, Laurent. And finally, Tobias?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everybody. In principle, it's a great country to do blockchain projects. You have a passionate finance minister. You have very knowledgeable people like Emily and you, Laurent. supporting also the ecosystem, and obviously Tom and Infrachain. I think there are a lot of cool projects out there who can also benefit from each other. But obviously, yes, we also need to go forward and also like keep pushing the regulator, keep pushing also the legislator to make further progress.
Well, thank you for all these recommendations. So now you know what to do to all the participants to this webinar. So if you have a blockchain project ID, just come see one of us and we will be more than happy to help you make your your project happen. Well, that's it for this webinar. Thank you to all the speakers for your time and insights on the topic. Thanks to all the participants and their questions. And I leave the floor to Anthony to close up this webinar.
Thank you very much for having been with us today for our last and fifth international showcase, this time focusing on the blockchain industry. Let me briefly switch and show you what's happening tomorrow and on Friday. So this week's far from being over. Tomorrow we welcome you to our last International Leaders episode on the challenges and opportunities in asset management, alternative data, and AI with Teresa Rochidi, Global Chief Scientist at AIG and Lead Research at the University of Oxford. On Friday, we welcome you to our closing summer break event, the CEO Roundtable, the future of financial services, with none other than Arnaud Jacques Massy of Societe Luxembourg Group, Robert van Gerkhoff, Managing Director of BNP Paribas, Eduardo Gramuglia, Country Head of State Street, Luxembourg, moderated none other than by Nasir Subari. Join us, come on board, and thank you very much again for being with us. If you would like to know more about the LHoFT General activities, please subscribe to our newsletter, and see you soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.